Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate you holding this important hearing. Thank you to the witnesses for being here. I'm concerned just overall about where the administration is going when it comes to the production of electricity in this country, and the different sources. I think nuclear is exactly where we should be putting our resources, our innovation, and our time to enhance that. Recently, leading a trip to South America, you see where the CCP and their influence is everywhere. It's in Africa. I think my first question, I'm just going to start with Mr. Dorman. How far behind are we when it comes to exporting our technology, getting nuclear technology to other countries? How far behind the CCP are we?
I'm not sure I have a good measure for that. I think they clearly have an agenda to get into all parts of the world and have an influence. We have recently had the agreements in Poland, and they're planning to build U.S. technology. I think we are seeing from our regulatory counterparts a high degree of interest in U.S. technology and support from the NRC to enable them to be ready to license those.
One of the issues, we recently passed legislation about the NEPA process. Can you tell me how the NRC is going to implement those changes to reduce the timelines and to get to a realistic timeline for impact statements or analyses?
Yes, thank you, Congressman. So we're digesting that legislation, but we have a number of similar initiatives ongoing to reduce the magnitude of the documentation that we produce in our NEPA process, to reduce our costs and time in producing the sound decisions consistent with NEPA. There are a number of other areas that we're focused on. I think that's probably, if we can get standard reactors, I think that NEPA process is going to be the area that will be most important for gaining efficiencies. But in terms of your specific legislation, we're still analyzing that.
I use the term moving at the speed of relevancy, and we need the Nuclear Regulatory Commission to move at the speed of relevancy in order to not just get to an export, that was my first question, but also to domestically produce. And can either of you tell me how much, percentage-wise, how much electricity is produced annually from nuclear power?
In the U.S., about 20% of the electricity is from nuclear.
You guys are the first ones that have had a clue about electricity source generation. And Dr. Goff, you mentioned something about a carbon-free electrical grid. I'm interested to know what that looks like. I mean, what do you think the demand in U.S. electricity is going to be if the administration gets to just an EV mandate that they're pushing for by about 2032? I mean, where are we going in the country, and how is nuclear going to play a role in that? What will that 20% have to look like in order to service the demand?
I think that 20% will have to go up. But I think, we put out a report looking called the Technology Liftoff Report, Commercialization Liftoff Report from the Department of Energy. In that, we're projecting that we need on the order of 200 gigawatts of nuclear capacity between now and 2050, where we have roughly 100 gigawatts. So roughly 3 times the build out of what we have, and that's assuming what we have continues operating. So it's a significant amount of new nuclear, but it's also a significant amount of renewables and fossil with sequestration. There's a lot of new capacity that needs to be out there as you go to that decarbonization, and nuclear has to play a major role in that.
And it has to play a major role, and as you guys know, renewables are not baseload providers. So when we're talking about baseload capacity, and thank you for doing the math on it, I would encourage you to please share this with Department of Energy because they have not done the math. They've sat right here, and the Secretary of Energy does not know how much electricity the United States uses annually. That's shocking. And so my last question, Dr. Goff, can we source all of the uranium and other materials from the United States of America? If we were to be able to permit appropriately, can we source what we need from this country?
Right now, we're not providing a lot of the uranium resource, the ore. We're not mining a lot. We do have resources in the country, but we also have resources in Canada and other trusted allies as well, Canada, Australia. So we can provide it from trusted allies. And we do have, like say, reasonable reserves here as well. So.
Thank you. My time has expired. Yield back.
Chairman yields back.